picking up from something you said, I always wanted to be a 5'2" black musician, Little Richard, but
that's what you wanted to be, was it?
Yeah, I think surgery wouldn't have helped at all.
I met Little Richard. He's not little. He's about 7 feet high. You didn't
That's the other Little Richard. No, that's his big brother.
Big Little Richard.
Big Little Richard, yeah. But he's got funny eyes. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He's got these. He's got my eyes.
Has he?
Yes,
Odd eyes.
It's a deal we made. Swapping eyes. Nice book of poetry. That first poem is really funny. That's really good.
Music to my ears.
Yeah, the book of my enemy has been reminded. Yes! It's one of those poems.
It was a true emotion, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very rock and roll kind of thing,
yeah.
that sentiment in that. Yeah. What, his album? Oh, no, really? Nobody's buying it? God, no.
Yes.
So really horrible, but very human trait.
Did you ever think of, do you ever write poetry yourself?
No. No, I'll just stay with the rock lyric. It's what I do best, and the poetry that I have written always looks like it needs a melody with it, and that's what ends up. Well, it's a poem. This time it'll be a poem, and you know, it goes down like a poem. But then I thought, and I end up reading it like that.
Yes.
But I can't write on tour because I'm touring at the moment.
I know that, but
it's not anything I can do on tour.
I can't imagine that you. How old are you now? You're what?
I've got 70 in 3 weeks' time. Something like that. So I'm doing better than both of you, yeah?
You're 50.
Really good. Do you know, I thought about that. It's only 13 years for me to be 70. And that's only as long as I've been married to my wife, you know. That's 13 years. So I looked at, well, how long's that going to feel from now till 70? So I went, kind of went backwards through time, 13 years to when I first met my wife. Do you know, it's not long.
It's not, is it?
No, it's really just round the corner.
As you get older, things gallop away from you, like the years gallop away.
They certainly do.
They do.
Friends and everything.
But there's one big advantage. There's one big advantage which he's not going to need. You know? There's one big advantage, and you're not going to admit to, and that's the bus pass. I just got mine, you know. Yeah. I can travel free.
Buy your own bus, it's easier.
Yeah.
And they rock and roll. They buy your own bus. But do you ever imagine you'll be touring as long as you've been touring? I mean, what? I mean,
no, I mean, you know, I had this poetic, romantic, kind of juvenile idea that I would be dead by 30, you know, because that's all artists think. I'll be dead by 30, you know, I'm going to get TB and die and loss of blood, Audrey Beardsley and all that. And, but you don't, you know, you get past it and then suddenly you're 30 and you're 40 and then you're 50 and 57 and all that. And it's a new land, you know. Sure. I'm a pioneer. Me and my kind.
That's right.
Like Christopher Isherwood. Me and my kind. Just sort of scraping the edge of what this thing is about being a rock and roller at 57. Right. But my revenge is all these bands that are below us, you know, they've got to do this. So they're kind of saying, yeah, they're like really old, but secretly they're thinking, I better watch how he does it, because I'm going to get this.
Because there's no precedent.
Travis, you know, sitting there. I bet he dyes his hair. That's never flattering.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're the first generation, of course. No precedent.
Do you know, it's funny we're talking about toupees. I wonder if I should name him. No, I better not.
Go on.
Celebrity, no, I can't do that. It's not my thing. My hairdresser used to work for him and was sacked because he didn't glue his toupee down properly for stage one night. And he has a fan in front, like we all do, to keep us cool, you know. And the fan was going, he was doing something very attractive and highly sensitive on the guitar. And his toupe was like a little... this dancing furry animal on the top of his head. And the audience were like in fits. They were falling into the aisles from the sensitive, you know, very socially serious kind of writer. And he went ape shit after this.
I used to have I've sat opposite and peered at some of the best toupes in the business, as you can imagine.
Have you?
My job, yes. And I used to have that irresistible urge to pull one off. I used to have to sit on my hands at times, because I sit there thinking...
You have to make sure, though, that they've got one, because sometimes they look as if they've got one.
I could see the canvas. These are the days when the toupes are not like that.
See, Ronald Reagan did not wear a toupe. Ronald Reagan, they used to take him at night while he was asleep and dip him upside down in a bath full of ink. So his hair was black. Somebody once said he was prematurely orange. But I'll tell you one thing about him for sure. He did not wear a wig. He just looked as if he wore one.
I see. Yeah. Right. You could make a very bad mistake.
Whereas I saw Charlton Heston once in Hollywood.
He wasn't really a president. He just looked as if he wasn't.
Okay. What about what's the difference now, touring now, and touring as that manifestation you had over there, Ziggy? What's the difference?
The big difference, probably, Jordan's breasts are even bigger now than in Ziggy's day, I guess. Well, you know, this God came to me and he said, let there be Ziggy. And I said, what's he going to look like? He said, like Eddie Izzard without the breasts, you know. So it was hard because Eddie wasn't around. Eddie came to the show the other night, and do you know what? We didn't talk about high heel shoes. We talked about machine guns and different types of artillery. And
was he in female mode? I mean, was he?
No. He was Eddie mode, I suppose. He was just, you know, a simple nail varnish and a cashmere sweater. He's thoroughly charming, but his violence crazy. You know, he's like totally into the army thing, and he loves talking about, you know, operations and how you defeat the enemy and with lipstick and handbags.
But what was Ziggy about? I mean, what was that gay Martian?
It was on the premise was men are from Mars, I'm from Bromley. I'm just a bit different from other men in that way, you know, and I just saw the world in a bit of another kind of fashion. And it was sort of, I don't know, it was about pushing together all the pieces and all the things that fascinated me culturally, everything from kabuki theatre to Jacques Brel, you know, and to Little Richard, to drag acts, and everything about it was sort of a hybrid of everything I liked. Because it seemed to me that rock and roll was such fundamentally an American thing that they believe in. They still do believe it to have an intrinsic American value, you know. And I knew it wasn't English, so we weren't really rock and rollers. We were kind of just playing around with the idea of rock and roll. I thought, well, let's take that to the next stage. How far can you talk about rock and roll, but with using rock and roll? It got quite arty in that way.
And what about I mean, it's very, very sort of theatrical as well.
Yeah.